Paul Sanchez-Navarro is the director of the Akumal Ecological Center. Paul, what can you tell me about this area?
Well, before anything, welcome to Akumal, Shawna.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And we're going to talk a little bit today about what makes this place. You mentioned how unique it is. It was a combination of things, and the water kind of brings it all together. But before we start looking at the ocean, the mangroves, the beaches, and everything else, I wanted to show you this rock here that looks at how the peninsula was over 1 million years ago. You can take a look at the whole Yucatan Peninsula was below the ocean. It was the ocean floor. And if you see in the rock here, you see pieces of coral, you have some shells, and all this was compacted into what we now have as limestone. And this limestone is used as the building material in the whole region. That rock has been fractured in different places. And the reason I explain this too is because those fractures are what make the place so unique. We don't have any above ground rivers in the peninsula. All the water filters straight through all the cracks and goes into what we call the underground rivers and caves and empties out into the Caribbean. This
is a map of Akumal, and I would love to learn more about the water in the region.
Okay, well yeah, this is an excellent tool to look at where we are and how this all comes together, what we've been talking about. But if you see here in the photo, this is Akumal Bay, and these are the hotel developments along the coast. And actually Akumal is the first tourist destination on the coast before Cancun.
Really?
It's the oldest place. And in this photo you can see the immense jungle that we have behind us, the federal highway, and then the beach areas where most of the development is, because we all come here to see the beach. When it's raining, all over the Yucatan Peninsula, the water seeps into the ground and flows generally towards the coast. And it doesn't all come out on the coast. It comes out, you notice you don't see any rivers here, it's all flowing underneath the ground. It comes along here and you can kind of see the open cenote areas, mangrove.
So this is the cenote here.
And then it comes out into Yalco Lagoon, where you're going to be going later. And we'll be looking at the mangrove there a bit later.
And you call this a light spring shower?
Yeah, this is a spring shower, yeah. And you can see the water here on this. Well, you do have the surface flows, and then if we were in the jungle, it would be disappearing down into the ground, because you would be able to see it actually in the cracks. And there are some places that are amazing, because we don't have waterfalls here on the coast.
Right.
But there are places where you have the cenote, and then it's a collapse zone. The cenote is just basically where the surface is collapsed into a cave. And so when we get so much rain in those big summer rains, the surface water then starts flowing down into the cenote, and it's an amazing sight to see.
While the rain is really good for the system, we can't wait for it to let up, because when it does, Paul is going to take us to an adventure in the mangroves. I'm very excited. So thank you for your time today, and I can't wait until the sun shines and we can get going.
I wanted to show you a little bit today, Shawna, of what's happening right at the shoreline, what's happening all along the coast biologically. We have red mangrove right in front of us.
And the mangroves really hold together the coastline.
Well, in a sense, they create a lot of stability for the shifting coastlines, because coastlines have always been dynamic, and this is one thing we forget. The coasts always shift, the sand shifts, the tides, the storms make it all shift. And what holds it stable is the dune and the mangroves. So that's why we have to make sure we're not on the dune or in the mangrove. What we're seeing with the root system is they spread it out in order to be able to anchor in down into the sand and rocks. So they don't have just one trunk and then the roots grow underneath. All of this is the root system, and they'll send shoots out. And we're at a point in the year that we actually have some of the seeds growing. You can see some of it. Let's see what we can find here. But this is a great example. This is earlier though. This is from last year. It has to be. This can't be from this year. And this actually has some roots coming out already. So what happens is this thing will grow, this seed will grow to this length, and then it'll just drop right off and hit right into the ground, into the sand. That's why it's built like this. So they drop straight down, and where it lands, then it can start growing. And since this already has roots, this probably should be ready to have a little bit of, this is the new leaves that are coming out. So actually we're going to put this back in because it's already started growing quite a lot. One of the big questions here is how do we develop on the coast? And we've seen some massive hotels.
The house here is beautiful. I'm wondering, do you know how it was developed around here?
Well, in this particular area, smaller houses were put in. There weren't any large hotels. So really it's a residential area. But it's very good because it shows us that if you put a house a little further back, you don't interfere with what's going on right on the coast, you can enjoy both things. You can live on the coast and make sure that the mangrove's intact.
This is an income for the largest portion of this section of the world. Everyone depends on the reef system and the mangroves. It's their livelihood. It's where money comes from. So from a human standard, we should be watching out for all this because it helps us live better if we're taking care of the environment as well.
This video was made possible by Mexico's Riviera Maya. Paradise is forever. Accommodations provided by Hacienda Tres Rios, Resort, Spa, and Nature Park.